I'd like to start by welcoming the families here and echoing the words of the rest of the committee, in relation to the steadfastness you have shown and, the journey that you have walked and the dignity you have walked it with despite the obstacles put in your way. I'd also like to just start by echoing as well, supporting that the motion there put forward by Deputy Tobin in relation to seeking legal advice. I think such legal advice could be useful in relation to other matters in the Good Friday Agreement as well, and the wider Brexit conversation. So I think, that's a very good idea. Also, I think it would be very useful as a topic for this committee to look at in general, but that's I think a conversation for the committee in general. I think one of the things that strikes me, of course, is the families here and the families of Ballymurphy are not alone. The families of Derry in Bloody Sunday had a similar journey to walk from the Ridgery Tribunal forward to the Savile inquiry. We've seen obstruction by the British government at every turn. We just need to look at things like the Stevens inquiries, the Corrie inquiry, where hard drives are seized and destroyed in the middle of an inquiry. Every effort is being made to prevent inquiries or tribunals happening, and when they do happen, to obstruct them, even if it is by sabotage, by arson, by theft of hard drives. It's really quite incredible the lengths the British government have gone to prevent the truth coming out. And now, of course, we see them trying to use the system in terms of the amnesty and these kind of things to prevent, again, the truth coming out. And we have the Stormont House Agreement. We have structures in that we should be using to help establish the truth, so that no family has to walk that lonely route. As one of the other deputies said, no other family has to wait 50 years or should be left waiting another 50 years. One of the points I've been making is that it's not just the British government. I don't want to let them off the hook, but the Irish government are a co-guarantor of the Belfast Agreement. One of the key parts in the Stormont House Agreement is the Independent Commission for Information and Retrieval. Something like this requires legislation in Belfast or in London and in Dublin. And I don't see the progress coming from Dublin on this. Yes, we need both, but in reality, we can start pushing ahead. We can start having the conversation. What do we want our legislation to look like? What do we want our legislation to do? The process that we use in this House of the pre-legislative scrutiny allows those conversations to happen, allows legislation, a broad picture of legislation to be put out there, committees to engage with it, expert witnesses to engage with it. If we can begin that process ourselves, it gives moral leadership here for us to say to London, look, get on with it. Start doing what you need to do for the family. Start doing what you need to do for justice. Start doing what you need to do to uphold your end of these agreements you made. So, yes, we should be looking at the route, the legal route, as Deputy Tobin had suggested, but we also need to show our own leadership on this. Other speakers and some of the families here have spoken about the need to be proactive. And here's an example of how the Irish government can be proactive. The need to confront. And here's an example of how we can use our action as a moral leadership to confront the British government about their failure of leadership and their failure of action. The government needs to be shown to be proactive, and we as a committee need to be making those demands of the government and be proactive in making those demands of the government. So, yeah, I think, there are other things that this government can do to be proactive, like ensuring the funding, as has been pointed out, is a key part of, making sure that these things work. We need to make sure that they're funded properly. So these are things we can do. So without trying to excuse the British state or let them off the hook for their failures, time and time and time and time and time again, we as a committee also need to be saying to the Irish government, look, what are you doing? Where's your moral leadership on this? Where is consultation on what the ICIR will look like? You know, where is the heads of the bill so we can at least have a conversation, even if it is to, you know, like the question of a border poll. Everyone is saying, look, we need to be better prepared for this. Well, look, we need to be better prepared for the ICIR. And that part of this role of this committee should be thrashing these ideas out, as we do with any other piece of legislation. So I don't really have any questions. I think a lot of the questions I would have asked have already been answered. So I'm going to just wrap up now. But essentially, the point I really want to make quite strongly is that the British state has failed so many families who are seeking for justice. But the Irish state, we cannot let the Irish state off the hook. And we as a committee need to be proactive, demanding the Irish government is proactive. Thank you, Chair.